Today I'm going to show you how to adapt a traditional homework assignment like long division problems to make it multisensory. Long division problems are tricky for kids for a couple of reasons. They are multiple step processes, so that means that students have to memorize a certain number of steps and then repeat the process over and over. And this can be really difficult for kids who have specific difficulties with processing, of course. And long division, referring to the more traditional method, is usually taught unisensory, meaning using only one sense. And it's mostly auditory. It does have some visual input, but it's the part that you can actually see is really just numbers, and numbers aren't friendly for everybody. So it can be tricky. So today we're going to take long division and we're going to make it visual, auditory, and tactile, so having a touch component. So let me show you a spot where some of my kids get stuck. I'm going to put a little mnemonic off to the side: divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. And we'll be adapting this as well. So moving through the method, assuming that my students know how to get through this part. So we just went through divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. And now we get to this next step and we're kind of paused and not sure what to do. One of my students and I came up with a fifth step. We call it kind of like a loop-de-doo. We added it there on the bottom. So when she gets down here, we add our little loop-de-doo, we circle that number, and we loop it up. So we've added a visual cue by adding it here and there. And again, this is just an automatic step. As soon as she brings down, she circles and goes up. So there's her visual cue to then tell herself, I bring down the number, and then I repeat the process by dividing by the divisor. And you can really have that auditory piece be anything that you want to say. It could be as simple as, now I divide again, or I do 24 divided by 3. Something of that nature, as long as it's an auditory cue so the student can actually hear themselves saying the step. Last but not least, this is tactile because students can actually trace that little loop-de-doo that they drew. And so you're again just signaling the brain, just another form of input. They're touching it and feeling it, and then it repeats. And this particular student who we added this little loop-de-doo, that's the word that we came up with, she honestly needed to do this once or twice, and I have not seen her in months neglect to repeat the process again. So it really works.